Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? I think it's time that we go ahead and see what's on BandLab and YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. Oh, right! Be careful, this show is highly educational. Viewer discretion advised. It's time now to talk some IT with Glenn and Tony. So if you're gonna go ahead and put a check me out in the chat or drop your link, guess what? I'm sorry, you'll be restricted. As if you have something, you send it as a DM and show love and respect to the other artists that are here and performing. I now pronounce Talkin Shhh. I said Talkin Shhh I.T can now commence. You guys have a wonderful show. You guys have a wonderful show.
I actually caused my own loop.
Good job. How you doing tonight?
I hear two of her.
Two of her, two of you, two of me. No, one of everybody. Much better.
Hey, we got pronounced.
We did. Most excellent. We have some people in the chat already. How you doing? Always good to see everybody. You were saying this just in.
Breaking news.
Orchestral hits for everybody. We're talking through all different patches earlier and coming up with some different chord progressions that were looking good. Question is, which ones did we want to start with when we mess around with some things? We could do all kinds of things. Thinking instead of the oohs and the ahs were good. I was definitely enjoying those.
You got me thinking those orchids.
We had that timpani going before too. That was good.
Yeah. You're liking those ahs, huh?
Yeah, they're definitely good. This was the oohs. The ahs were a little bit higher. The ahs are almost like a cross between a clarinet and an oboe, maybe.
That's very monkish.
Mm-hmm.
Yo.
Hey, Lou.
What's up, bro?
Too much.
Same old shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
What is that sound?
Show for us.
What's that sound you guys just did? The howling sound. Oh,
Playing with voices.
that's insane. Is that a vocal?
Just a keyboard patch.
Yeah, he's got a voice. I've got a voice.
We all got a voice.
Mm-hmm. He's got dinner. We all got a voice, but you got dinner.
Yeah.
Those are good dudes.
Where are you guys?
We're in the middle of our show. Oh, I got the Glenn patch.
There it is.
sent out.
You do that with some like barbershop harmonies, man. You could actually put together a good barbershop rap.
Yeah, some good melodies going in there. Main thing is like just trying to stick with even pentatonics, just to be able to go back and forth and kind of focus on each note and see how each one feels compared to what we have feeling like the root. Like in that case, if we're saying with like A feels like the root, then we're trying to like use the A, the G, and the C, D, and E.
And that's what one.
You guys can't hear me.
No, we can hear you.
I can hear you, Luke.
You
You just have
can't.
to mute. That's all.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem, man.
Oh, sorry about that.
And yeah, I'm thinking of the A as the minor one. So that would mean we're thinking of like the C. So like C major, essentially. C major pentatonic would be C, D, E, G, A. And thinking of just focusing on the A would make it sound like a minor pentatonic. And then if you focus on any of the other notes, like if you're focusing on the E or the D or the G, it feels very different because it's not the root position major pentatonic or the root position minor pentatonic, but it could be a major or a minor sound, depending on what you're doing.
A minor for me right now.
Yeah, exactly. A minor pentatonic is what it feels like.
Now I can hear some drums kicking in.
Depending on where you land. Now, the one that's the default over here is. The question is, how loud is that? Is that too loud, or is that a good volume?
No, I can hear it good.
Okay. I got to figure out how to more efficiently do that. That's A minor.
Yeah. If you're using those chord changers, it's basically the A bouncing to the F with the E in the middle.
Because that E is going to sound wrong here because it comes in as an E major.
Yeah. When it plays the
unless I hit it with E and the F together, then it almost sounds. Yeah. Get out there. The F should be minor. F major, though. F major.
That surprisingly worked well with that beat. I wasn't sure if it was gonna, but
yeah. Like it. That's the question. Is I wasn't sure what it was going to do with the whole chord thing. You get that because then it's going to build something in that style. So it's going to give you the bass line in a style, and it's going to give you the rhythm in a style, and try to work with that as well.
Yeah, that's why I don't use the chord progressors too often because a lot of weird chord changes that I tend to do.
The thing that would help though, instead of doing what I was doing, which is the basically it's the easy mode, the first notch up on the keyboard. Like there's normal mode, which just we keep the low end of the keyboard just doing the normal, same as everything else. When you go up one, it turns that bottom half of the keyboard. When you hit a note, it's going to give you the chord of that key. So A major, C major, D major. But if you wanted to go minor, you would hit that note and another note. So like A minor would be hitting A
like
with
the
another
third.
note.
I would imagine the third would make the most sense because that's kind of the.
You can, but also you can just hit. It's just any additional note after you hit that first one. It just does one modification, which makes it minor. If I did a third note, it would make
Well,
it.
if I hit a
seven.
fifth on an A, does it say A major or minor?
In this case, it'll change it to minor just because any second note, no matter what it is, changes from A major to A minor as long as the first note I hit is A. That's the weird thing about the way this chord thing works at the bottom. So A is always going to be just A major. If I hit it, no matter if I hit it with a fifth, if I hit the A and the E at the same time, it still sounds like A minor, even though that fifth should be.
If you hit the A and the C, whether you're doing or doing, is going to be the difference of a minor.
That's the thing. Even if I hit the C sharp, it's going to sound like A minor because it's a second hit with the A. So like A, this is A major.
When it's playing, does sound A minor.
Any note that is going to, because it's a modification. If I hit a third note, it goes to an A7. A fourth note makes it a minor seven. So there's ways. That's how it knows what to make of it.
It actually sounds pretty cool going from the major to the minor. It's almost disorientating, like confusing.
In this case, it goes from major to minor to a 7 to a minor 7. The fifth one doesn't do anything.
You with your extra fingers.
And these are any note you want. So it could be, that's what I was saying is like even, no matter what chord shape you're hitting with the left hand, if you're hitting 3 notes, it's going to be, that's going to be an F7. No matter what the 3 notes are. If the bottom note or the first note is an F. That's the weird thing is if I hit like A and then a G and then an F and I'm holding them all, it's going to change from an A major to a G minor to an F7 because it's going to modify. It's going to use the lowest note as the root and then make the number of modifications based on the number of notes that you're hitting at that time.
How fluid are you at doing your chords with that arranger and getting the because my left hand is not my strong chord hand.
Right.
If I was trying to, I mean, I do play fifths. I do fifths a lot, but I don't tend to do chords with my left hand.
A lot depends on if you're trying to do crunch chords or if you're trying to do spread voicings. Like if I go back to the normal so I don't accidentally hit chords down here, a sound that's a little better for.
I mean, if I'm doing it with both hands, it's not too tough.
Well, that was the thing is a lot of times one suggestion people would do is in the left hand have the, like let's say, what chord are you playing there?
A minor.
A minor. I would do it A and an E in the left hand with the A on the bottom. And then in the right hand, they would suggest having the 7 under the thumb and the 3rd for the pinky. And just using those 4 notes and you have it very spread. Minor, that would be the C. The C and the G is what you're looking for. So you would have a C and a G up here. Get a very spread sound. And if you're bouncing it, like you said, in that left hand, you're bouncing a 1 and a 5. In this hand, you're bouncing the 3 and the 7.
Using the 5th on the bass hand is kind of smooth.
And even using the 5 underneath it, like I was talking about before, like if you use you can reverse that and put the 5, the G at the bottom.
Oh, and I can use it with that progression we were playing earlier too. Yeah, and arpeggiate's really nice with the fifth.
Yeah.
Rolls right down. And that's where you could be doing a piano solo on the top, like,
Yep. Yep.
fluttery. That's where I was trying to find that way to like kind of
Yeah.
shift it
I
and
like that
try to
FGA.
bring it up so I could hit on the C.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels right to go to the C.
Yep. Bouncing around. Now, at first we were doing with the oohs and the ahs, and then I switched to the grand piano all of a sudden.
Oh, the piano's nice. Feel like we're
This one's
playing
really
it in a hotel.
yeah. Get that, not the dueling piano sound, but the combined piano sound.
I wish I could play the dueling piano parts.
Well, one thing we were talking about is some of the people that I'd found on Twitch, or some of the people that we've been introduced to, I should say, from friends on Twitch. And, some of them just have really a great layout, a great setup, and the ability to just go back and forth, take any song that somebody requests, and just kind of, whether they just listen to it and it comes out, or they just look up a chord sheet, a cheat sheet, and just be able to play it just right off the bat, either reading it from the sheet music or from the ear. For me, it's more comfortable to do it by ear.
Nowadays there's so many different ways to tab music that like we have crib notes in every notation.
Yep. In a lot of cases, just trying to simplify what you
Looking
do
for
down
chords.
to one sheet is best. Yeah.
I can't believe how easy it is to just Google a song and put the word chords and poof, there's the
Because
chords.
you'll find user-generated ones on many, many different places.
And if you know the song and you see the chords,
You know if it feels right when you're checking it. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And again, a lot of it for me is somebody wanted to know how to play a song, and like somebody looked around and they couldn't find tabs for something and they were stuck. For me, I would just say, well, just throw it on for a minute, like throw the song on repeat. And I would just sit there and tell you, okay, well, it's in the key of this, and we could like walk through what the chords are, and we could work out our own, notation for it, whether it's tab or whether it's on regular, sheet staff, or however you wanted to look at it. Could even just be,
yeah, you can
note
hear
by
the
note. Some
chords
people
in
just put the
your
actual
head.
notes. Well, it's more that I try to match it. Like I'll hear a note. Like if you play a note on the keyboard, I don't care. I don't have to look at the screen to hear. Like you play a note, and it's like, okay, well, is it that note? Okay, no, is it that note? Higher, lower, and it's just a quick game of higher or lower until I. And when I do make that first guess, I'm already making a jump based on how much different it sounds, right? Like you play any
nice
note.
though it's nice to be able to see on the screen
Oh, yeah.
what notes you're hitting.
Oh yeah.
Like I wish
It's like
in
cheating
the old
almost.
days, yeah, I wish I'd had that when I was jamming with like my high school band.
Yeah.
Because like one of the guitarists didn't understand like notation or tab, and another
That's pretty
one
common.
did.
Yeah. And some people are fantastic musicians who don't understand how to read any kind of music because they just developed in an environment where it was all ear and whatever came for them that way.
Yeah, the rhythm guitarist, as long as he could see what the other guitarist was playing, he basically just played by sight.
Yep. And that's the thing is, it doesn't really matter what method you use to make it happen. If you can make it happen, make it happen your way. It's like we can tell you what worked for us. I can tell you what worked for me, but I can't tell you this is the way to do this or that. I can't tell you it's the most efficient way or the best way. I can tell you what was the best way for me, if I even know what was the best way for me. Because to me, it's a lot of combination things, and a lot of times it's like a freak moment, like one of those epiphanies where all of a sudden something that I've heard months and months ago while I was watching some video that went over my head. Like I watched a video and 60% of it was way over my head, and I was like, whoa, just dizzy from the thought of all these different chord inversions that they're doing and all these different things. But then months later, all of a sudden, I'm just playing around and I make some move, and all of a sudden, something makes sense that I know it's in there.
It subliminally creeps in.
It
over
finally
time.
connected.
Oh my God,
how
I've
it
had
connects to
that.
everything else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
those are
I've
the moments
had,
that I love so much. Yeah.
I've had melodies that stuck for years in the back of my head and found their way, like you said, epiphany. You realize all of a sudden, oh, that's what that progression meant to do. And I got it.
Mhm.
I've been getting a lot of that in the last year. Jamming with you guys in the back, all these new chord progressions that I'd never tried.
Even that one I was doing just earlier, it was just 2 chords, but it was 2 that didn't make sense to me in terms of chord structure. Normally, if I'm thinking about a 1 and a 4, or a 1 and a 5, those are going to be major and major, or they're going to be minor and minor.
I think of them a certain way that when it comes to a 1 and a 4.
Yeah, and in this case, I started playing that F and a C. But the F was an F minor. Sorry, F minor C.
Oh yeah, what you were doing. Yeah. That's the one I was trying to remember.
In that case, it's 2 chords that, to me, because one's minor and one's major, they don't make sense to me in a normal chord progression or in a normal structure. But it just means we're playing in a different mode than the standard major or minor mode. I still didn't figure out which exactly, but it's got a couple choices. I think it's one of 2 modes.
You can drop the C down to a C sharp, and it.
I always like bouncing a low note around. For that low note, I also do. I would bounce it to the G below it.
Trying to get this little slide. So
How about
yeah,
that?
that's 4 to 1, but your 4 is diminished. That's a diminished.
I'm doing a minor, the F minor, right? Because we're just doing the A flat and the C. But I was doing it inverted, so I was doing C, F, A minor, and then C, E, G. So that bottom C stays where it was, and then so the C can stay the whole time, and then it's just with the F and the A to make it the F minor, and then with the E and the G to make it the C. But you could also use the F minor in the home root position. Especially if you arpeggiate it,
Yeah, first inversion on the F is
Yeah.
nice. Now I want to go down. I want to go down one more note. Like I want to drop it.
B, D, E, F sharp.
Maybe the A.
Walking it to the A.
Do you hear the drop down that it can go to? Just a slide. That B flat feels like it. That's the location.
But does it feel right with the D, F, or with the D flat F?
Yeah, on the bass hand.
Yeah, probably D flat.
This is it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what the bass is on the F, C, B flat, A. I still haven't totally fleshed out that chord right there,
But with that A, the E will work with it. So that's a 5 chord. So that's just
yeah,
an
yeah,
A5.
yeah.
Just use that for a start.
Oh, it just feels so dark.
Does it feel better with the D flat also, I think?
Oh, that A just really makes you wonder where you're going next.
Yeah, exactly. I like it.
I can work with that. That is a very unusual drop down.
And that's the thing is, it doesn't always have to fit. Like I always think of things. I started getting bored with everything's a 1-4-5 or a 2-3-1-5, whatever. There's only so many ways you can vary
Well,
that particular
it
phrase.
technically is still it's a 4-1 going in, but it's just an unusual 4-1. It's not my normal.
And it has that little exit ramp that we're taking out of it. Yeah.
Major 4-1, much. Shit,
has a totally different sound, right?
Songs.
Very happy, very happy.
Here I go again. White Snake.
C, F, and G, probably.
But they did it in G. And that third chord was a little different, but it was basically like a 4-1, happy major sound. Makes up a big chunk of hits.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the minor to the one, I mean, this just sets up a whole different mood. It feels more cinematic, like.
And a lot of times that would be the minor one to a minor 4.
I feel like a Russian composer would write something like that.
Definitely has that exotic feel. Because normally, again, like if we were doing minor, and then went to that minor 4, it's also a totally different feel because that keeps both the 1 and the 4 minor. Like you would expect if you were doing a minor 1, you would expect a minor 4 and a minor 5. The same way you would expect a major 1 to have a major 4 and a major 5.
How you invert those keys? Okay, the first inversion was the root. So first inversion was the way I was playing. That's my go-to on the F. Second would be.
What we're doing, F major or F minor?
The F that you're doing would be this. Second inversion would sound like that. Really? Does that sound right?
Second inversion with the C on the bottom, you mean?
Yeah, I'm doing
C, F, A minor. If you have the A minor, or sorry, if you have the A flat on the bottom, that's the first inversion because the root position would be the one with the F on the bottom, and then the first inversion would be the one with the A flat on the bottom, and then the the second
F is
version.
on the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way I usually look at it is if I made the F the lowest one, where would the other one be?
Oh.
Yeah, nice.
I gotta fucking program this in my brain though. This inversion is a little weird. But it goes to the C very easy.
Oh yeah.
But going
He tries to keep the
back-
notes in the same
going
neighborhood.
back to that.
The important thing about this particular exercise too is that it forces your brain to flip back and forth between those two modes, which is a little more difficult right now, but getting comfortable with that is hugely important because then these kinds of changes come so much more easily later.
Plus, you should feel these progressions out with different inversions because
Absolutely.
a 4-1 sounds totally different in first inversion than second. I mean, listen
And
to
I'll
it.
even within the same piece, I'll try it different places.
My thumb just wants to. This inversion's tough.
Yeah. And that's the thing, again, getting comfortable with it and getting comfortable with it with flats in there or sharps in there because, again, most people are very comfortable playing in C or they have a couple of keys they're comfortable with, but expanding out to other keys is so important. That's why a lot of times somebody will say, what do you want to play? And I'll just sit down. I'll just pick a key that I almost never would start with. Like, okay, G flat, let's start with that, or, okay, B flat, just grabbing.
I would think of G flat. I would think F sharp.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're starting with the G flat, that's what we were talking about.
F sharp.
What we were talking about before was the G flat is if you're playing G flat major pentatonic, that's all black notes. So as far as ease of playing, if you just have two fingers on a pair of a 2 set and the 3 fingers on a 3 set, and you always land on that first of the 3 set, you always feel like that's home. So you're always feeling like that G flat major is home, or you could always try to land on that second one of the 2, which would make it always feel like E flat is home, and that would be the E flat minor pentatonic.
See, and going back to that 4-1 approach, home for me is the first inversion. Like when you're saying 4-1 and I'm playing around with it, this was my most natural inclination because the way the chord changes is like just a slide down.
My inclination is usually to go to home position. I almost always look for home position first, and that's one thing that makes it hard for people sometimes to follow other people who are playing. Like my buddy Mike, sometimes he'd be playing something on guitar, but he was playing it in an inversion when I'm trying to watch his hand and see what notes we're playing. So I see him go from the 5th fret to the 3rd fret. So I'm thinking we're going from, whether I'm thinking we're going from A to G or whether I think we're going from D to C, but we're doing something totally different because he's in a different inversion, which at the time I didn't recognize the chord shape he was playing, so I didn't know what was going on. But he was playing little chord pieces, just 2 notes here, 3 notes there. So it was difficult to see full hand positions to see what was going on. But with keyboard, same thing goes. If you're playing inversions, getting comfortable with them is good. And that's where, again, if I'm playing a C major, I'll play it there, I'll play it there, I'll play it there. You just keep working a little exercise where you get comfortable with going through all the different
patterns. Because
different patterns.
Here, the 4-1,
there's only 3 for each one. Take each of those chords and just take one of the chords and just go through all the different positions. Like work your way from low on the keyboard all the way up to high, where you're just again, if you're starting with C, if you're doing starting with the F, sure, and just kind of work your way up. Even if you have to use 2 hands to do it, but just getting comfortable going through each of those inversions and seeing how they feel and how they sit.
Wow,
how the spacing
ironically, the one that feels the most awkward is starting root position with the F. This feels all sorts of weird right now. Well,
but also if you think about it, with 3 notes,
a couple of times.
With 3 notes, there's only a few options, right? They're either 3 white notes, or they're 3 black notes, or it's going to be white notes on the outside with a black note in the middle, or the reverse. Like each of those different combinations, when you get comfortable with them, it makes it that much easier.
approaches, starting root with the F feels the most awkward as far as starting it, and shifting it feels.
So which one feels the most comfortable for you? Start with the one that's most comfortable. Start with the one that's most comfortable, but start with it low down on the keyboard, like lower than you would normally start it. So like an octave lower than that, maybe. Both hands, and then start working your way up. Like, the first time around, you do that, the first position, then move it up to that next inversion, and then move up to the next inversion. Like each time you go through it, try it in those different inversions. You know what I mean?
And each one of those inversions makes me feel different ways.
Exactly, different phrasing.
Like with this one, I want to do it.
The bounce, yeah.
With the bounce, when I'm doing that second inversion one, I want to arpeggiate.
Nice. Hell yeah. And then what about the next position?
That's the one with the root. That's the one that felt the weirdest, and it's probably because I
Try it both ways. Try arpeggiating it and try the chirps as well.
kind of feels the same as the other inversion.
Yeah, once you get it under your fingers, it's like, okay, that's not so bad. Because again, it's still the same, three
Sounds
notes,
the same.
roughly the same spacing, has the same feel in the
Sounds
ears.
the
Yeah,
same.
exactly. And that's the other thing is don't be
That
afraid to
makes
throw in
me-
notes that don't make sense, because those can
Well,
be little
that-
passing tones.
This progression makes me want to experiment more there.
Mhm.
Still want to hear that bottom end shift down.
That was the voice that sounded like a boat. I shouldn't get so far down.
Somehow I want to slide it into that kind of
Landing.
Stravinsky change.
Would that be what kind of an A would that be, though? Would that be an A major down there, an A minor?
Yeah, it's a bizarre one.
A diminished?
Well, no, actually, it is the F, technically. The notes
So it should be an A
up in it-
minor then, right? I'm thinking. Because that would make the most sense to an F, because F, A, C, and then A, C, E.
Yeah, the F is part of it. It's D flat, D flat.
So it would be A major then, yeah. I was thinking of it in relation to what we were doing on the way into it, rather than what
Yeah,
you just hit with
I'm
that
not
D
doing.
flat.
Well, see, that's just it. Like
Because we modulated, yeah.
how I go to that doesn't relate to what we're doing over here because we are in
F minor and C. That's the what
C,
we haven't determined yet. Actually, a good way to check that, though, is as we're going back and forth with that F minor and the C.
Well, you
What
have
feels-
your ridiculous set to C
Well-
major right now, so technically, when it shows the chords, they should be the proper chords.
But it won't. See how it shows that flat in the middle there? Because that F, they're saying that B flat is not part of it. It says it's an F minor, but that F minor, that B flat is not
But
part of
it
this.
shows.
It shows what it is,
at
though.
Yeah, at the top it shows me an F minor.
Exactly. But the question is, which, let's see, if we went through the scale that we're using right now, whether this is the key of C major in some modulation or whether it's F minor in some modulation, which chords feel right, right? The C major we're using, does the D major feel right or does the D minor feel right? D minor feels right because of that F. So it would be C major, D minor, E minor, F major. We're not doing F major, we're doing F minor. And that's where it gets tricky.
That's the mind fuck.
So the E minor works, but that would mean D is the diminished. So we're in the key of E major relatively.
And you know, by coming in with that F minor like that,
So that would mean F minor, G minor.
the listener knows instantly, like, this isn't a normal key. You don't have to understand music theory to know when something sounds mysterious to a key, like it's not part of a key. We know what harmony sounds like. We know what certain chords that are meant to be together sound like. When you hear things that aren't meant to be together and it sounds good, that's what the creative music is.
Also, hi guys out there, Missy FX and Mahapucha. How you guys doing?
Maha. I think HAI is still hey.
Yeah, it still
When
counts.
you say it out loud.
I usually say it, hi.
Hi.
Hi guys. Getting into strange territory.
Well, it's going to have a tempo change there. Like it needs to actually shift tempos like 15 BPM by the
Try 1 and 10. I wonder what it thinks it would do if I did F minor and C as
Oh, that's the finale, huh?
that was big finish.
That's the finish button.
And that's the thing is for that, what I should have done is as we're going around here, let me try this. That would be F minor. That was the 7%.
I was feeling that one right there.
if I did like the F minor for twice as long and the C for twice as long, so the changes, aren't quite as rapid, because that way you have longer in each spot or in each key to make something happen. Because otherwise, like if you're switching every 5 seconds, it's like you're switching from this idea to that idea to this idea to that idea.
It's why I don't switch patches a lot. Like
Exactly. But if I care to keep it in the one key for longer, so let's try if I stay in I stay here. Stay here. It almost feels like it's changing too slowly, but too fast the other way. It's kind of in the middle. But again, my thought was though with the big finish, I was going to say trying to do it and just work its way up the scale, like seeing if I can work its way up to where it should be. Let's figure out what key we're in actually to do the majors and minors.
Yeah. You notice it's kind of brightening up the
There's
F.
one in
I think
majors
it's
for each
playing
one.
the F major.
Every time you only hit one note, it's going to do major. So it's going to do C major, D major, E major instead of.
Yeah, that's what it's doing.
Maybe D major, E minor. But that's always the one key with the one key when you're hitting it in that Casio chord mode. But if you have it in the one where it's fingered chords, you can actually, if it wanted to hit full chords, then you're talking about where no matter what fingering I use, it'll follow the chord I'm hitting. So that's a B chord, even though the B is on the top. So it reads it properly. And if you're only hitting 2 notes, it doesn't count that as a chord yet. So you don't hear anything until I hit a 3rd note. So that's one thing that's kind of cool about this mode is I can hit 2 notes and not hit anything, and then it's only once I hit a 3rd note that determines what chord that is.
I wonder if I actually have chord. I have this button called chord memory I've never pressed. I've never really used the arpeggiator, the chord arranger.
Some people, they don't use the rhythms at all. They don't ever start that because that's not what they're into on the keyboard. They're just trying to work with the sounds, the tones.
I do it over on the computer side, through Cakewalk, but like I got this keyboard with all of this built-in sequencing with the attitude that like if I didn't have a computer, this is the stuff I would want the keyboard to be able to do. So it has all the sequencing. It is its own cakewalk.
Nice. It's important.
But I never use it because I always do it over my computer.
But you always had the option. That was the main thing. It's like that's one reason to have it is that you always have that option there, whether you utilize it or not.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that chord memory does now.
Now, what about a pop shuffle? But that would have a totally different interpretation of that same chord progression. In that big finish progression, and then it kind of fades itself. The old pop shuffle. Like that.
I think I got one to bounce off of that kind of beat.
super easy to play with just that one or two notes in the left hand to make that happen. But you can also just leave it in regular mode, where then you're just playing your own chords. And just kind of working that back and forth, and you just keep the rhythm, without doing any chords or bass or any of that kind of stuff. That way you can put your own parts in, but you have it keeping time for you.
Yeah, I was hearing a clavichord in my head.
Nice. I'm still using
That shit almost sounds like a bass.
Yeah, it's got that little slap to it, the twang.
Yeah.
How low does that get? I mean, you got pretty low on that patch. Not all patches go to the bottom, though.
I'm on my last F.
Okay.
I'm on my last F.
And this is my lowest C.
But I can still go down to a B, but it's pretty nasty.
I can get to the B flat, but just by bending down my C.
But I can get to that C that I need. Although I'd probably go up instead.
Yeah.
Here's some metal guitars.
That was the F minor.
Add some chug.
Nice. Chugga chugga chug.
Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
I'm not even sure how the guitars on here are. I don't remember if I'm checking them out. Would you think overdrive,
Well,
distorted?
I have some electric guitars.
Distorted guitar? Are you doing F minor? Major.
Kick that beat back in.
Random G in there. Because sure.
That's kind of a fishy finale.
Yeah, a
And
little
I
bit.
mean that in the literal sense.
In a good way. Super fishy.
I'm disappointed with my Roland distorted guitar sounds. There was not one in there I could have worked with. I have some awesome guitar sounds on my Halion sampler, but can't really play those in real time.
This is supposed to be finger bass. Actually, hang on. That's more chords.
That's what I started looking for. It was actually
It's not bad, I guess. When I played the first note up here, I'm like, that's a bass? But that's kind of high on the keyboard, so I guess that's why.
basses don't translate well high.
No, and they usually have a pretty narrow range, so yeah. Slap.
Oh, that shit's Seinfeld.
Yeah, I like that.
What was Peter Gunn?
I think it's the B flat. E to the G, and then to the A, and then to the B flat.
Oh, it's B flat.
That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's not.
To me, that's the Spy Hunter theme, but yeah, exactly, Peter Gunn.
Oh, I want to hear it even. Oh, I can totally put it into that.
Something like that.
You know, it might be. Feels like there should be some variation in there. Yeah, that's the other half. See,
Somewhere.
if you can play both those parts, that's
God.
like doing that's like doing the Peanuts song.
Yeah,
You know, like
the
two
timing, yeah.
sides are so opposite. Yeah, and tell me that's not a mind fuck, man. Like
I love it.
at the speed that he actually plays it at, it is such a hard piece to master.
And the fact that you called it out when I had the slap bass sound on, so it's like, oh, you mean that? It's like, yes, because that's root 5 octave right there. I mean, that's in G, but G, D, G, and you just repeat those 3 notes in that order, and it's just the timing.
It sounds so simple.
Oh yeah, but the timing when you start trying to do.
It's such crazy timing.
Yep. There you go, nice. Going back and forth between those two, yeah.
hand's not falling off by that point. I don't know.
Well, see, that's the thing is trying to play it as gently as possible, where you're really just rocking the hand a little bit. So you're not like putting effort. It's not like hit that note, hit that note, hit that note. It's more like once your hand is in position, you just kind of, whether you're putting weight on that side or this side.
Yeah, I guess if I don't clench,
You got to
when I'm
ease into,
playing,
yeah, exactly.
that was
Because these keys don't take a lot of force, right? You can just barely let the weight of your hand kind of do the work, right?
And we were watching a video the other night. Chris Lipe was talking about don't clench when you're singing, and it actually applies to that, playing like that.
Sure, absolutely does.
Yeah, if I just kind of do like you said, just get the hands in place and play it slow, I probably could play that song 20 BPM slower.
And that's the key, is starting slower like that, even if it means starting slow enough, or let's say even at the slowest speed, you still have difficulty getting both hands to work together. Just take one hand. Just take that left hand and just do that for a while. Get that comfy, get it focused, get it to where you can do that from the G down to that F, because you're doing the G, D, G, and then you go down, you do the F, C, F. So you're doing the...
Yeah, it's
So you got the variation there too.
When it goes in.
Yep, that's FCF and FCD.
Ah, got it. Is it full octave up?
Yep, that's exactly, yep. FCF and then FCD, I think, would replicate your first line there. So that first line. Yeah.
Shit, I've been playing that wrong for years.
Well, that's the thing is I can't say for sure that that's right, but that's kind of what it, when I start playing it, that's what it feels like.
It sounds more right.
Hey, Uni, what's happening?
Uni.
Thanks for joining us. We're just messing around with the keyboards. I'm playing some Peanuts themes. And I think I killed Tony. But yeah, I do like that little variation where instead of doing root 5 octave, you can do that root 5 6, root 5 6. That adds a nice little touch to it.
Yeah, and it's easier to slide to.
Yep.
That is
It's comfy.
Such a great arranged piece. When we talk arrangements, I love the parts that he wrote into that. It's like the characters themselves. The music has the same feel as the characters that it was based off of.
And the balance in those jazzy little breaks, like those little fill-ins that they'll throw in the middle, like that would take me a little longer to figure out. But like figuring out
Schroeder was the character that would be writing something like that. I love Schroeder.
That's the other slap bass. Beefier, but not as percussive.
That's the Seinfeld slap.
I don't know what it is. It's a good one though, slap bass too. But again, up high. Is it what? A piccolo bass. Does not work up high.
A piccolo bass?
No, that was just the same bass, but just that high sounds ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And then sin bass.
How's that? You don't even have to change the note.
Exactly. Oh, Mickey,
like,
you're so fine.
yeah. It's like neo-punk in the early 80s. All the...
That is the violin.
E minor. It's not. Oh, that's such a killer sound.
I like it.
It's not. It's mono. I can't play two notes at the same time.
Yeah. No polyphony,
But
monophonic.
actually, that's okay because you can do cool shit when it's
Yeah,
mono,
because
like-
you're holding one note, you can hold that second note that you want to go to, and then when you let go of that first, then it jumps to it. Yeah.
So I could do.
Same thing with that octave thing we were doing.
This is one of the sounds I would do on the second keyboard,
Mhm.
and I'd be using this to do stuff like. While I had a separate version of this that I could be. That kind of sound you can play with all day.
This one's called Atmosphere.
This one's called Square Balls. Wow, that is a nasty square wave.
Question is, can you read this?
Oh, is that the baseballs pedal?
The baseballs.
Yeah. Those are badass.
And of course, the one that goes with the one that I have to go with it.
Yeah, of course you need a big muff.
The bass big
to go with
muff.
your baseballs.
Gotta build the pedal board out from something, right? Might as well start with big balls and big muff. That seems
These are
awfully
the
loud.
synth bass patches. Some of these are like wacky.
You were saying something about goblins, right? This is the goblin. It's got kind of a warbling thing that comes in with it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like in the future. See, all these synth sounds I've been hearing off of Joe with his new one, his new keyboard.
That's not a bad sitar.
That's a nice. Oh, that's a punchy bass.
Uh-oh, I found the banjo. Evening, Virus. Does that sound like a banjo? That sounds koto or something.
How's this for a patch for like an Eminem song? Like I think he might have used something like this.
Oh, hell yeah.
Shady. Yeah, that sitar would actually work in there. All of a sudden, across the planet on the other side of the world,
We join our hero.
oh, that makes me want to find some of the. There is a few good percussion, ethnic percussion sounds.
This is the koto, actually. Yeah, nice.
Really does. It hurts.
Kalimba. With a lot of those too, if we're doing just A minor pentatonic and just trying to land on that A when you're done and coming down to it from like E, D, C. So you can do whatever you want out there. And then at the end, you get a nice solid landing. If you want to land major, you can land from that C. But we mostly do in the A minor sound.
I don't know shaku.
Yeah, I had one. Yeah, I have a shamisen also.
It's nice. It's
Or
kind
a
of like a
bagpipe.
pan flute. It's a general MIDI
Yeah.
patch. So like number 153 in general MIDI is a shakuhachi.
Mine is synthpad 4. Which I like. It's got a nice swell to it.
Well, these weren't.
Synthpad 3, not so much. City sound. Oh, sequence.
That's the racing.
This is the good one, the sequence. You hold one key down, you get all that happening. And you hold multiple keys, you get all of them sequencing. That's no good.
when you change the tempo.
Definitely. Now, does that also have any effect with the bend that you have on the side there, whether it's a push forward or to the sides?
Oh yeah,
Does that affect the intensity? Or? Nice. Hey, Blood Boy. Putting some fun stuff together.
well, and I can program it to do different events. So if I do want to change that's at 110, which it actually sounds cooler when it's slower.
Yeah, this one was at 110 also when I was doing that other beat. Oh, nice. Is that like more like 100?
98.
Sweet.
Such an abstract tempo. That's pretty much all me. Mine.
Yep. This is the rotary organ over here. That's at 98 also. So I'm not sure if that affects the warble. It should, I guess.
Oh, your rotary, the tempo affects your rotary?
That's what I'm saying. Is that it might.
Now I'm kind of curious if that happens on mine. I never bothered changing the tempo on this thing because I never used a sequencer.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started using those pulsating ones that.
And honestly, I never really noticed until the pulse was working against the tempo of something I was working in. And it was like, because whatever was going on in the room wasn't at the tempo that the keyboard was set for, because it didn't matter because we weren't playing a rhythm. And then all of a sudden you're hearing that it's going wah, 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 wah at a different speed than the actual tempo calls for. But yeah, it is important to get those kinds of things where they do fit right in where they should. Sometimes it just does mean you have to go between the fast and the slow.
What's an organ where the tempo would be?
This one's the rotary organ. Mine's 145, so it's way up where the regular organs are down by like 000. Grand piano.
That is a pretty good C3.
Have a drawbar. Rock. I like to rock. Church. And read.
Little drum beat there.
Yeah. finish. It's a little bit too warbly, maybe. Fun stuff. Hey, Susan, how you doing?
I got a couple of different ideas with different organs on that riff.
Find some strength. Those are not strings.
Stay with the strings. Okay.
That's where getting a loop of that together works out nice because I could like record a loop of that into BandLab and you're playing it on your end and along with it.
Yeah, this is where looping is.
Same thing
ideal
with
way to-
where'd my looper go? It's around here somewhere. The red pedal. I'll figure it out later. But if I had that hooked up, that would definitely make it easier too. Just take a little loop of that that way instead of having to play it around and get the timing all screwed up. Those old organs, especially the ones with the foot pedals, those were incredible. I mean, seeing people play those at a high degree of skill is amazing.
Yeah, I do have an expression pedal that's kind of like those old school organ ones.
Nice.
I had an organ that actually had all those pedals. I never mastered that though.
Mm-hmm. Certain things, like certain people, I guess, who had experience working with such a big organ and all the different, almost made you spit out your drink.
Did you do that on purpose? I almost choked there.
Easy now.
He said big organ.
But the ones with all the controls, how about that? The ones with so many levers and bells and whistles. That's a whole different story, right?
I consider it my musical instrument.
But that was one where sitting down with my cousin Jeff and looking at one of the ones that has all the drawbars essentially, so that you can take this one, pulls out to a fifth, and this one's out to a sixth or whatever, like an eighth, whatever. You're pulling all the different drawbars out to a different degree, and that brings different notes or different overtones into what you're playing, which was very cool because it's just seeing how you're holding this note, but then okay, you're going to pull this bar, and then all of a sudden it sounds different. You're adding a root and a fifth, and then you pull another bar, and you're adding a root, a fifth, and something else. So with just one note, you're getting all these different tones.
With the one I had a whole keyboard at my feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a whole nother keyboard on my feet.
For the lowest bass notes, yeah, like a sub octave almost, or keeping like a whole lower boom, 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 boom. You can keep like a walking thing like that going on the bottom.
It's not easy though to play with.
I can imagine.
Your feet. Well, guitarists, you guys are actually more used to it because with the stomp box approach, it's not like totally like keyboards, but it is like.
To me, it's
here,
if you got if you got used to a wah pedal, an expression pedal, or a volume pedal swell for swells, or you're used to like clicking into a whole bunch of different effects all the time, that would get you good with 1 foot. But the people who really get the 2 feet going is the drummers. Like the guys who are able to get all 4 limbs going independently in the drumming is just, that always blows me away. And that's one of those that I can get 3 things going pretty well right now, but trying to add that 4th thing just train wrecks the whole story. It's like, okay, I try to get one little psh on the hi-hat, and it's like all of a sudden everything just train wrecks everywhere.
And my feet move just when I'm listening to music.
But then I watch drummers, and it looks like they're doing a very complicated beat, but it looks so simple where, you know, they're using doom cha, doom cha. It's like, you know, one thing here and one reach there. They're not going like daga 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 daga. Like, you know, it sounds like it's that much more intense, but it's actually much easier than it looks. But at the same time, it's not easy to do because I see what it looks like. I'm like, oh, that looks easy, and then I grab the sticks. I'm like, shit, what? Because it just doesn't work that easy.
Imagine what's his name from Def Leppard, when he had to adjust and
oh my God, yeah,
started using his foot to compensate for
designing entirely new things from necessity. Absolutely.
It was his left arm he lost.
I don't recall.
I think it was, and which would have been his snare hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy shit. How do you reprogram your brain so that you do that with your foot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing is, a lot of the time, I don't know the sticks next to me somewhere, but what I practice with, even on just a practice pad, because I have a little practice pad over here just to be able to feel the rebound, and it's not loud, so I don't have to worry about neighbors or anything. I'll grab it later. But the main thing is the bounce.
Even those practice pads can get loud when a drummer's really getting into it.
Yep. Play me a little drum finding music while I go grab it.
Drum finding music.
There it is. It's a stop sign.
Oh, nice.
And this side is very rubber bouncy and not very loud at all.
And real feel for her pleasure.
Real feel for her pleasure. Now you can hear that that's not silent, but it's not super loud. The other side, this side is actually Kevlar. So if I ever, if I have somebody breaking into my house, I got a bulletproof vest right here.
Damn, dude, that's double useful.
So the backside is Kevlar. So it gets a different bounce and a different feel. But the main idea is, if you're just sitting around, you can, like, I don't know if you can hear that. Let me bring this down.
Have you seen those MIDI controllers that you can finger tap on top of them? Mm-hmm. They're round.
So you sort of like build it up like that, and then also just getting used to just doing like double hits. So you want to go like da 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 da, but you don't want to get a third hit. So you're trying to figure out how much snap you need to put into it to get the bounce. But that's just one of those things to work on, because if you can get it comfortable to both hands, and same thing with one of the ones I do is the let's see. I don't know if you can hear that at all, but it's just like going through certain patterns like that, and then try to reverse it, where you're trying to play it with the left hand doing the right hand's job, and then you'll get a feel for that if you're getting enough of a roll with both hands. Because I definitely get a less good roll with the left hand than the right hand. The right hand can get a pretty smooth, like brr, 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 but the left hand it's like daga daga da da da. So it doesn't always go through smooth.
Have you seen this controller?
This might be the one that Missy had. Oh no, I've seen one that was round that was used as a percussion controller, but it looked just like a drum head, and it didn't have segmentation like that. That looks very cool.
Well, and you get different level of vent depending where you hit on the pads. All sorts of cool shit.
Yeah, yeah. Like closer to the center versus at the edge. Yeah.
These are getting popular.
Now those are all pushing like solid buttons, or is that more like a touchpad on Surface where as soon as you contact it, it's registering?
These are finger pads. This is a finger MIDI controller, and look, it's made by Antiphone.
Solid.
Son of a bitch. That's what he does on his side job.
Right there. Add to cart, man. Boom, boom, boom. No.
I want one. I want one of these.
You weren't kidding. Artiphone. Nice.
Everybody who's using them says they're intuitive as hell, and like I can see myself fleshing out a beat with my thumbs.
custom controller music. Very nice.
C major? Still C major?
Yep. Then I went to the D minor. And then E minor. And then G. So I call that a 1, 2, 3, 5.
In the movie, that's the build up as the guy finally gets the balls to go kiss the girl.
There you go.
That's the shit you play in an 80s movie when they do that.
Susan Ann has some questions for you. Dying to know what kind of keyboard you have and what kind of software and visualizer you're using into the awesomeness.
Oh, the visualizer is called Keynote or Keysight. You have to get it through Steam, but it's only like $20, and it's one of those you pay for it once and you're good. You don't have to be subscribing to it every month, which the only other visualizer that was of any good, they want $100 a year now. Like, he jacked the price up on that thing so much that he killed his market.
Now, this one that I'm using, it's not a visualizer so much as it does show for more instructional purposes. And it looks like it's not even, it might be working, but it's showing the actual chords that I'm playing. So it makes it a little easier to guide someone through something. Like if someone says, hey, what's that progression you're playing? It could be like, and it comes up and it shows, all the chords and where I'm hitting.
Multiple reasons. I see it on staff. I see it on key. It helps me to read staff better.
Yep, exactly.
I'm reading staff better now after 25 years of not reading it and all of a sudden seeing it in relation.
This
than
one's called
I ever did trying to learn it in theory.
Meticulous. MIDCULOUS. Meticulous.
It's not expensive either.
This one was free, actually, I think.
Yeah. And the paid version is beneficial for instructors, anybody who's teaching music online these days. This is the go-to software.
And I don't see who it's from. They don't have a really good about page in the software, but you should just be able to search for Meticulous and it should bring you right to it. It's telling me that there's a new version out that I haven't upgraded to yet. So this is at least one version back. But one thing is you can actually just click on the keyboard and it'll make sounds. So like you'll see them here, but you won't hear them because I have the volume all the way off. I have the volume off because if I had the volume up, you can hear when I'm clicking.
Not only does it show,
but also
the
if I'm hitting, you'll hear a delay.
It's a MIDI synthesizer.
Right, exactly.
Comes with a standard general MIDI synthesizer, pretty decent one.
Yep, and you can choose, like this is the acoustic grand piano sound, for example, but you can choose all the different sounds in Meticulous there. But instead, I was just turning it down completely volume-wise and just using it for the visualizer. I'm just using the audio output from my keyboard, which is just a little Casio CTK 61 or 611. It's a 61 key keyboard that also has the rhythms. So we can, that stuff's all built in, and the little pads. So pads on there that I can use, but they're not as for me, they're not as good as like the big square pads. Like what I really want is something that's got like the really big square pads that I can go and like really hammer on them. These are tiny little buttons, like chiclet buttons.
That girl we saw on the Twitch channel the other day,
Missy.
Those Elysees pads,
exactly.
Really want those.
Exactly. I'm eyeing those up. But that pad that you just showed me, that's another good option where that could be even better in terms of you're able to do everything that you could do on a normal drum setup, but also all the percussion things and things like that.
It's a lot of thumb and it's finger banging.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing is, to me, that's the best way, because that's a way. I mean, I used to do that on a desk, just when I'm practicing drums. That's another thing, is to practice drums. You don't need a pad, you don't need sticks. Just if you've never really been good at drums, just sit there and listen to a song that has a very simple drum beat, and then just try to make sure that like you make your right foot go down as if you're hitting the kick drum, and use your right hand to just try to hit the snare, and then with your left hand, just try to tap along. And it doesn't matter which is right and which is left so much, but just, try to get those, just get the kick and the snare started first, because getting those two things together shouldn't be too bad. If you just get one foot accustomed to the kick, one hand accustomed to the snare, and then just try to add in the with the other hand, and you've got most of the drumming down. Getting that, like I said, that fourth thing, getting it added in is really tricky. For me, at first, I was, two things fine. I tried to add in a third thing, and it would screw me up bad. But then I started getting better with the third thing I would add in, and now it's when I add the fourth thing. Sometimes it works out okay if it's not too complicated, but just trying to get that little on the lift up on the hi-hat just throws my throws my whole balance off and gets it tough. But yes, Meticulous, that is the one. And I really like that one because it is good for not just for teaching, but for sharing, with people, or if you're collaborating with people, and it's easy for them to just glance over, like you said. Like I could just start into a thing, and I'm playing whatever, and yep, and Keysight, nice. I could just start into a progression, and he'd be able to see what I'm doing.
And they do have a free version of it, so
right,
you can use it for free.
And there are things that are like it, that are similar, that we've seen from other manufacturers or what have you, that do a similar thing. But that one looks really cool. The one that Tony has, I really like.
Yeah, I have this one programmed now, so when I hit certain keys on the bass side, the visuals change. Oh, do I have it turned on right now? Is it changing? Oh yeah, it's changing.
Sometimes it's also the intensity, how hard you hit it might change what graphic shows up, or whether there's fireworks and that kind of thing.
And I can actually program it to say, like, when I'm playing below 63 velocity, use this particle. When I'm playing harder, switch to this one. Change the color, change the shape.
A big difference there, yeah.
It kind of helps you to write. I'm writing different kinds of piano parts because I'm staring at the screen and I'm like, oh my God, I'm making my own light show.
Yep. And that's another thing where the light show is definitely a good one for adding a new influence. The other one was doing things that are outside necessarily your comfort zone for scales or keys. Like we were talking about some things, just taking, a standard pentatonic scale and using different notes instead of the 5 that we usually use. And we were talking about using the E, F, and the B and the C, right? Those are the 2 sets of notes that are white notes that are right next to each other. And if you just add the A in as well, and you've got yourself a pentatonic scale where there's 5 notes, but it's not a standard major or minor pentatonic, it's just something completely different. And it gives you like an exotic sounding thing going on. And I don't even know what key I would consider that to be.
Right now, I don't. Yeah, like this is literally just playing the 2 weirdest parts of the keyboard. But it swirls nice. Like if I was trying to have that like bridgy part in a soundtrack.
Yep. Kind of ambient.
It's like that moment where you're disorientated or realizing.
Yep, Joshua, he was just telling her about what's it called, Keysight, that you could get from Steam, I believe is where you got it from.
Well, you have to have a Steam account to get it. The software company, because they're using the Steam engine, like the particle effects they're using here is based off of the Unreal 5 engine. So Steam owns that engine, and they sell the software. It's like $20 for a year. Actually, I think it's $20 till they come up with a bigger version.
I also got the Unreal Engine for free. I think it was from, I don't remember if I got that from Steam or from the Epic Games launcher, but there are at least 1 or 2 places you can get the entire Unreal Engine and be able to download and mess around with projects in it, as well as just using things like this, because this is one of the best visualizers that I've seen, and so being able to do what's going on there is definitely cool. So there you go.
Is that coming through?
Yep, I see me. Hi, me.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that. Can you see the?
I see your keyboard and a blank behind it. That's actually because I'm looking at the studio.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to bring up. This is the option screen.
There you go. Yeah. Resolution, frame rate, quality. Yeah.
You really
turbo note testing.
you really can adjust.
And you
just
can also
about
MIDI triggers, right? If you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I did here.
Nice.
I am using MIDI hotkeys, and you can set, like, when I hit this MIDI key, randomize the particles.
Sweet. And you could do that. Like, that's what I was saying about using keys that are outside your normal playing range, like the top couple of keys and the bottom couple of keys. You'd be very rarely going into those. So you could technically have those be in there, right, as hotkeys.
Yeah.
Or are you hitting hotkeys on keyboards instead?
Yeah, those are. It's nice and easy. Like, once you say you want to make a new one, you know, you say what you want it to do when you hit whatever key. A lot of options.
Oh yeah,
load a specific
transpose. Sure.
When I hit E3, I want red fire effect always. Nice. You know, so you can set that and do it here, and then you just click this record button, press a key on your keyboard. Keys programmed. See, like, if I said I want randomize on this, and I say record, and I hit, so now A5 is randomizing as well. And
then once you're out of there with the close menu and you start playing stuff, you'd see that A5 would randomize your particles.
Even cooler, it lets you pedal preset switching, which means that any pedal that I've got around me doing shit, I can route to visuals and which MIDI channels that you go to.
Very cool. It's got the effects, it's got the widgets, it's got the graphics, it's got all the goodies.
And because it's built on that Unreal engine, as far as 3D effects, it really utilizes great 3D graphics. I had to put a new video card into my damn music machine because it wouldn't work with the old one.
Yep. And besides, having a good video card is a kind of important thing now, whether you're into video games or whether you're into crypto mining or whether you're into just messing around with video editing. There's a lot of different reasons why having a good video card is kind of important at this point.
It's actually important for the DAW these days. Like, Cakewalk now, in the last year and a half, there's been graphical enhancements that if you don't have a certain level of 3D support in your video card, it either doesn't load the waves visually properly or it doesn't work at all.
Doing that from A minor in root position, and then I'm just dropping the G down to make that a C chord with the G on the bottom. A minor, then drift the A goes to G, and the other two stay the same. And then I do kind of the same thing with a D minor, but I then drop down just the D to the C to make that an F chord. Kind of using these inversions. And you can use inversions to make it different from there, but the main idea is, and actually strings might not be the best for that either.
Okay, A to C progression.
A minor C, yep.
Yeah, that's one I have tested in every inversion.
Nice.
Each one does make me feel different.
They have different feels, yeah. And then the other was the D minor to F, which I was also doing in the root position for the D minor, and then a second inversion for the F with the C on the bottom.
Oh yeah, that's a nice natural.
And again, the inversion or where you put it doesn't really matter. You can just bounce back and forth there. Joshua, if you wanted older posts or older shows of ours, it would be on YouTube under Angify. If you're looking for other stuff that we're talking about now, it would just be scrolling up into the conversation that we were talking about earlier here for the links.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, yeah. I like that feel you got on it there. Yeah, good bounce.
Yeah. Fuck that. I'm still getting used to this D minor.
And that's the thing, is by using different inversions, it really does kind of stretch your mind or force you to think about chords in different ways as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always rooting under the thumb or whatever. Yeah.
I don't normally hit the F from this chord this way. But it really hangs there, like. And goes
So I would
back.
call this 6, 1, 2, 4. There we go. Key of C. The 6 and the 2 are going to be minor, and the 1 and the 4 are going to be major. I think that's the other thing I like about it, is it goes from like sad to happy, back and forth. Very nice.
That's where I can shift into like arpeggio mode. Same chords, just. Oh, it's tricky arpeggiating that one.
For Cakewalk, yeah, we've actually we've done a number of things on Cakewalk, but we also highly recommend talking to Creative Sauce on YouTube. Creative Sauce has some of the best tutorials on
hell
Cakewalk
yeah.
anywhere. So like not only ones on getting started with Cakewalk or starting your first project in Cakewalk or 10 hidden secrets or 20 more hidden tips, and like just tons of stuff. Creative Sauce on YouTube would be
The
what I would
best thing
recommend highly.
about him, you watch like his introductory to Cakewalk videos. There's like 4 or 5 of them. But after you get done with that, you pretty much know where everything would be related to any DAW you might have came from. If
And
you
having
do
any
it on
familiarity.
BandLab and you want to see where you do it in Cakewalk, only
And having
3 or
any
4
familiarity.
videos from him and you'll know it all.
Creative Sauce, yep. And if you have any familiarity with Cakewalk already, that's already a head start, because he's going to show you, you'll recognize the screens you go to. And his name is Mike. Hi, this is Mike. And Creative Sauce, that's just definitely very good videos. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Together an awesome tutorial.
We work with a lot of different YouTube channels, but that is one that if you're looking for Cakewalk, I would go there.
That's
and
where
I would suggest
I
no
went
others.
to learn it.
Yeah. And then when I went there, I'd already been working with Cakewalk for a while, but I learned a bunch of different things there that I did not realize that just made the workflow that much easier. Especially things on buses, busing.
I gotta burn this one into my brain. This is like the one we were doing earlier.
Yep.
I love how it sounds this way.
Yeah. I like that little rise, yeah. It's constantly moving up. To me, that's an uplifting and hopeful sound, even though it's bouncing between major and minor.
The funny thing is I should have an easy time going from this back to A minor.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a weird
Well, the other thing that we
Normally
could do for there, the easier way to get back to E minor from there is to just slide that F down one.
But yeah, that's what I'm doing. My brain is wanting to do the way that I'm.
The other way to get around it is to kind of try to do all the chords in home position. So like you start with that A minor to C, and then up to the D, and then up to the F, and then up to the A again.
Yeah, that makes it easier.
Because then you're focused on the one on the bottom. And as that feels more comfortable, you might see that the way we were doing it before keeps it in a more compact area on the keyboard. Not that it's better or worse, it's just a different sound.
That's another progression that I've attacked for decades in a different way. But now thinking of that, like, normally if I was to go to the third here like this, I'm compelled to drop down to the G. Like, that's my.
That's because
go-to.
you're used to thinking about that first chord as the one chord, but in this case, that first chord is the sixth chord. So instead of going 1 to 3, we're actually going from the 6 to the 1.
Well, going up, the way we're doing the D, and
It's still going up by a third,
being
though.
a D
So yeah.
minor, it adds. It's just a little twist in the road as you
Yep.
get to that E
Or F.
or F. Yeah, F. Yeah, the F is where I start to get effed up.
Now, another thing that you can do is to again do the changes at half speed, so you stay on each chord twice as long.
Now I do hear the next part in my head.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, I know where I want to go from that. Like now that I've taken the jump to the D,
Yep. And you can get there. Yeah, yeah.
and the
It
way
feels
it
right.
hangs out, the way it hangs out on this F.
I hear what you're thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Feels like E minor next door.
yes.
Because technically, again, we're sort of in the key of C major, so all the white notes should work. So whatever we want to try to do, if you work it out with white notes, it should be, it should sound right in the key. The one that sounds most wrong would be the B minor 7
Yeah,
flat
but
5.
the B surprisingly works a lot more than it should.
Well, the BDF specifically, because that's a B with a minor third and a flat 5. So that's a half diminished. Good combination with the strings, too. D minor, one or the other. Yeah, major.
Soft finale.
I like it.
That's
Good stuff.
usually how I roll.
Yep. Now, new rhythm 120. I guess this is pop ballad. Pop BLD.
I feel like I'm back in the 80s watching Kids Incorporated.
Yeah, this sounds like a happy one, so I would say this is a G major kind of thing. Maybe like back and forth between like a G and a D, maybe. It's like a G to D. It's like a 1/5 for key G. Just keeps it very happy, but it's like only a part of a section, right? And then somewhere it would have to start getting sad.
See, with that beat, though, it's sad.
A minor, maybe? D minor? No, D minor, no. How about A minor? E minor? Maybe?
The way it does the chording when you do that, like, I hear the transpositions.
Yeah, you hear that major note first, like, yeah.
Yeah, you hear it shift.
No, it can be a good thing, but not usually.
Well, the G to the, what'd you say, G? I mean, that's a progression there. A G to a D, you can play many beautiful ways.
Oh, yeah.
G to C.
Sure.
Once I bounced around between the G to the D a little bit,
Yeah.
G to C.
Works out nice. Now we're considering G as the home key. And so C is the 4 and D is the 5.
Yeah. home.
Yep, G's home and C and D both sound good.
It's
Or
funny.
C and
Normally I
G
play
major.
that. Normally that's a C major or a F.
Right.
As far as those two different progressions there, I'm either doing them in.
The bounce note, yeah.
That's C major, but F actually is where. And I like to do this little drop down with the F going all the way down. Just like one of your fancy chords. I want to say that's a yeah, that's an F.
To me, that's a B flat major. We went down from the F, F, E,
Yeah.
D,
My
C,
bass,
B
my
flat.
bass is
Yep. And that would come up to the C.
back to the C. Yeah.
Is what it feels like. But I mean, it could go anywhere.
Well, that's
It could
one
also
way
drop to
I've
that
done
A.
it. Resolving on the C as a last minute buildup, like.
Mhm.
Like at the end of the song.
Yeah.
In the middle of the song, you don't have to resolve on the C because if you hold on that one, it goes right back to the F beautifully.
Very nice. Thank you, Joshua.
For your relaxing.
It's fun stuff to sit and noodle with a keyboard. And this is the thing, is that if I had realized how much fun it could be just to sit around and noodle around with a keyboard, I would have done this decades ago, because I wasted like 2-3 decades of not playing music pretty much at all.
Shit, man. It's
and
been a
then
while
now that I
since
came back to it, it's like,
noodled with my keyboard.
yeah, just going through the sounds, going through the rhythms, and just messing around with stuff. And having a solid understanding of music theory helps, but it's not entirely necessary. But since I did get a pretty good basis in music theory early on, it really has informed the rest of my exploration, which really helps a lot in just a lot of ways. A lot of things make sense, but there's still a lot that I don't know. And that's the other thing, is recognizing that there's entire areas that I still have to explore is fun. Knowing that, you pretty much never get to the end of the journey of learning stuff. You just get to new heights of what you're learning at each level.
And you have an awesome okay, no echo. You have an awesome understanding on multiple levels when it comes to music. You are multi-instrument, word writer, singer, instrument player. You have a lot of sides to your music shit.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of years of working with people and just observing everything from all around. Working with a lot of bands, because I do work with a lot of bands where I'm a roadie. I'm just carrying stuff around and videotaping and things like that. But I absorb what everybody's doing. So like while I'm sitting and watching and videotaping, like I'll watch the bass player and see what he's hitting, and I'll watch the guitar player, and I'll watch the keyboard player, and I'll watch the drummer, and I just absorb a lot of stuff. by working with all that.
And that's why sometimes they're the ones asking you questions.
True, true. And I'm actually surprised. Excuse me. I'm actually surprised in some cases that a lot of times I feel like my knowledge of music theory is actually goes beyond some of the people who I see play who play fantastically. They're like so far ahead of me playing wise, and even just the complexity of solos and things that they do. And
Well,
but then I've
and that
realized that they don't actually understand as much about music theory as I do, which means that I just need to work on my technique more to get those other parts of my playing out, I think.
and that goes to show that, like, the music theory ability isn't necessarily proportionate to skill ability, say with an instrument.
Mhm. And again, that's not knocking any of the musicians that I work with
No,
or
no,
see
it's
because
it's
they're all
useful.
fantastic. It's
It's
really
useful
just
to know, but
yeah,
it's not necessary
it's
to
good for
play.
communication. It's good for communication too, because I might say, "Oh yeah, that part where you went from this to the that," and it's like, "Oh wait, I did what?" And it's like, "Oh okay." So they recognized the line that they were playing, but not necessarily what the progression was that was being used at the time. And again, it's not a requirement. It's just one of those things when you're having a conversation that's good to be able to be on the same page, talk about how you got to where you were, and even understanding that some people don't necessarily have as much insight. It's still you can still have that same conversation. You just go about it differently. Instead of saying, "Oh, when I went to the one from the one to the four to the this," you just say, "Oh, when I went from the C to the F to the whatever." You can talk about it in a different way, but still get the same
all the
communication to
guys
happen.
all the guys that I would jam with, if they were musically inclined, it didn't matter if we spoke in theory or this chord, that chord, this note, that note, look at my hands.
Yep.
Everybody that I jammed with, one of those approaches worked.
Yep. And for me, the look at the hands thing helps in certain cases, not all the time, because it depends if the person's playing in root positions, but it also depends if they're trying to help you. Like if they're trying to walk you through a song, they can help you more by showing you like root position chords, like a big E bar chord and a big A bar chord to show you, okay, this chord, and this chord. So you can see the relation. Here's the one, here's the four, here's the five.
And
Going through things like that.
now that I know what I'm looking at when I see a guitarist,
Yeah.
when you explained it to me,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing their tuning, and then
Mm-hmm.
just seeing the fret
Yeah.
in keyboard translation for me
Mm-hmm.
is making it a lot easier. I
Yes.
am starting to pick up some of you guys when you're playing your guitars and you have a good camera in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see like what a guitarist is actually playing.
Yeah. And even in the setup I have here, the chord that I usually have hooked up to the
Bass, it's
guitar is
surprisingly even easier. Like if you would fucking put your bass up, I probably could figure out what you're playing on the fly now.
oh yeah, you could. And that's the thing is with the bass, it's it's a 5 string, so that throws some people off. They see me hitting the third fret on the lowest string, and they're thinking, "Oh, G." It's like, no, that's a D because I'm on I'm on a
I'm
that's that low
I'm
B string. But
I'm actually learning the bass at this point at the 5 string level. Like all these
mhm,
fucking metal basses these days, 5 string is standard.
yep. Let's see here. Get the other view where it's not quite as much
Plus, if I'm gonna
ridiculous.
get a bass, I want that PV fucking 5 string, man.
I'm using the Fender 5 string is the one that I have. This is my SG over here that we have. This is the black SG that looks like Angus's.
Oh, I love those SG shapes.
Yeah, that's my main guitar. And that's one that again, like I was saying, for if
That
I was
really
showing somebody a
does look
part,
like an axe. Like you can say, that's my axe.
that's my axe. Yep,
That's my bitch.
that's the one. But if I was showing somebody how to play something, like if I'm playing, this chord right here, this is at the fifth fret, and I'm playing like an E-shaped bar chord. So if I had it plugged in, you'd be hearing an A major chord right there. And then if I take that whole shape and just move it down and kind of like this, you see people do this one where they're hitting, that note and then these three together. That's the A-shaped bar chord. So you could say, okay, this would be an A chord, this would be a D chord, this would be
See,
an E
I
chord.
could take
Boom,
guitar
boom,
lessons
boom.
from you this way.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like just being able to and a lot of people they would say, okay, if I was describing this to someone, I would say 5 7 7 6 5 5 because that's from the fattest to the skinniest string, I'm hitting the fifth fret, 7 7 6 5 5. But a lot of people don't like to talk about it that way. They just want to say, okay, I'm hitting a bar chord at the fifth fret, and I'm hitting a bar chord at the eighth fret or whatever. A minor bar chord would be with the middle finger not on there. So
If you run that signal in,
mhm,
you could convert that analog audio
mhm,
into meticulous so that you could actually have the notation, the tab up in the corner. Like, yeah, like how your pictures are popping up, you could have guitar tab um, showing it from the audio signal.
right.
Because that's how tuners work. Anybody who's got like a line 6 tuner in there,
with again fifth fret.
See, and
bar
in
chord,
that in that arrangement, the A sounds so bright.
mhm,
The
yep,
A
because that
sounds
top
so
button.
happy.
A lot of that is those top two notes because those are the skinniest two. And that's why you're using that full bar chord. A lot of times people would play an A over here,
Hey, it's a little moodier.
a little moodier because it doesn't have that brightness at the very top. But then again, you can also play it way up here, where you play that same thing I was just playing, but an octave. With just
Slice
four
your
notes.
fingers.
Or you go all the way up here and play really high notes.
But now
It's
you're
really
just
bright.
being belligerent.
But you take that same one and do it down here. That's doing the same thing an octave away. So at the 17, 12, 15, 17, or this is actually 19, 18, 17, 17, and then down here,
I
7,
will
6.
say that's got a beautiful sound at the high end.
Yeah, and that's the thing about having good intonation, and that was what we talked about at one point with the.
Is that the one you were intonating that day?
I think it was,
Like
yeah, like
you,
we were talking
yeah,
about the intonation.
you practically made a tutorial there.
Yep. Well, we were talking about basically that if you get a new guitar and you see that they're all perfectly straight across the bottom of the strings here, if they're all perfectly straight, then it's probably not intonated properly. But the easiest way to tell, and actually you can probably hear it even right now, like if I hit an open note and I hit the harmonic at the 12th fret, that's the same note, right? So here's an E and an E harmonic. You can hear that's the same note, right? If I fret the note at the 12, it should also be that same tone. But if it was, that's sharp, right? And if it was sharp like that, you'd have to adjust to get it so that it's the same tone. So you want to fret very gently at the 12th fret versus the open string, and they should all be about the same. And if those all sound right there, then you're pretty much ballparked in on where you need to be to have your intonation right. And that means that once you're there, then playing big bar chords even high up on the neck should sound nice and clean, like you were saying. Otherwise, they would sound kind of distorted. Now, one thing I haven't tried to fit anything into the
You're in
ridiculous,
standard tuning.
standard, yeah. So if I were doing like E, yep, E major would be the big open bar chord, and that does sound bright also because it's got those high notes.
E major is bright.
Now the thing is, if you look at what this looked like, we talked about this once too, about what this guitar chord would look like on a keyboard. It would actually be, you'd have, it's not plugged in right now, but you'd have that low E major, like if you're looking at my Ridiculous, that low E coming up the E triad, but it would be root 5 root, then third, and then 5, and then root. So it would then be third, 5, root. So it's basically spread across 2.5, 3 octaves almost, and it's just you're using that same E note 3 times. So you have that low E, the high E, and a middle E. Those are all the same note. So you got 3 octaves worth of E's in there. 2 5s and a 3. That's the thing that makes guitar chords sound so full. They cover a lot of ground. But you can also play little pieces of them. Like I could take that E chord and play that high piece. Just playing those 4 notes up here. That was another important concept with guitar in general is triads. And so what I was talking about at one point is taking just not the very skinniest string and not the 2 fattest strings. So like if I leave those out and I'm only using these 3, I can do, this is a triad, it's a major triad where I'm just doing like at this point 14, 13, 12, just a nice little major chord. But there's 3 positions for these going across the entire neck that are all the same notes. And once you get those 3 triad positions comfortable, you can do little solos and little pieces of jumping around the neck much more easily.
You can do Hotel California.
Yeah, you can.
It's that kind of progression.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not those notes, but you know, during the solo part.
Yep, yep.
Guitars.
And then there's a.
This is the melodic version.
then a lot of places you're just pulling little pieces of guitar shapes there as well. That one sounded very much a horror movie.
It definitely takes the brightness out of the E, because you know E is a bright, E major is a bright chord by itself, no matter how you invert it. But you do a little half step like that, and it starts to get creepy. The next Halloween.
Some people shouldn't even be major because it sounds like evil. It's got that darkness to it, so it sounds like we should be doing a minor key. Instead of E major, what about D flat minor?
Oh, jeez.
Maybe not. That's a lot of black notes.
That's the one that was fucked me up last week. Okay, I
Let me do it this
don't
way.
want to forget that.
Let me switch back.
What were we doing just there? E minor.
Good question.
E major.
E major.
It doesn't feel right anymore.
Keyboard's falling off the drum kit.
It's the way I was rolling it. You know, that's how quick I can forget a good idea.
Oh yeah.
If you don't remember the thing that initially inspired you, whether it was how you were playing a chord,
or what the sound was, or what the percussion was doing. Yeah, there could be anything that was leading to what you were playing. Yeah,
I can remember the chords I was playing the night before and forget the mood that I put the chords in, and actually lose an idea.
Oh yeah, I've lost tons of ideas that way. Even worse, like you feel it and it's like, oh, I'll totally remember this tomorrow. Like I was surprised I remembered the one we talked about earlier.
I don't do that anymore.
That A minor one, because it was an A minor.
Remember.
I was like, okay, I will remember 6, 5, 4, 3, because that's just too easy. Like I can't forget that. But then trying to remember what was I going to do with A minor, G, F, and E minor. Like what was I going to do with that? And then we went through like 6 different iterations of what we could do with that, which is awesome. You know, finding different ways of working with that. And seeing how it feels. And it's kind of very much of a sadness to it because it has that drop to it. Then we did that other one where we were getting that major feel, where we were starting with the A minor, C, D minor, and F. That would have the uplifting and happier feel to it. Nice.
I mean, it's technically still A minor, but the G kind of takes, with this kind of approach with the progression, the G almost becomes
because those 3 are acting as a 6, a 5, and a 4 at that point.
Yeah.
A minor is that minor 6th, and you get the 5 and the 4. So you're still technically in the key of C as far as what should feel like home,
yeah, I can go back to the C with no problem. Oh.
Good stuff.
I'm cramping up. I have my wrists. Actually, good that it's not my fingers, because usually it would be my fingers that, but my wrists are.
Wow. Sometimes for me, it's because of the angle. Like if I have my wrists, instead of being flat, if my hands are rocked back like this, whether I'm doing computer games or whether I'm playing on here, it's just that is what really gets me. I'll feel that in my wrists really quickly. So
Yeah,
it's
you
important
know-
to try to keep the hands loose and high.
I bet you it's because of the way I've been editing so much.
Yeah.
I have been in like
To me, it could be
carpal
Yep.
tunnel mode.
it could be whether it's keyboard or mouse usage too much, but also for me, it would be a combination of whether it's too much music, too much keyboard mouse time, or too much video game controllers. Because a lot of times in playing like controller video games, you can wind up burning out those same muscles or tiring out the same muscles, so that you're go from video games, I'm going to play music now. And you go over to play music and you're like, wait, no, I'm tired. I can't do that. So
Or
you
in
don't
the
want to
case
burn
of
out those
Father
muscles.
Pat practicing for the Olympics.
Yeah, that too. You got to watch that too. It's important. Oh no, Uni's connection is breaking down. Oh no.
So is mine.
Hey,
Actually,
what's
it's
up,
been
Uncle
good,
Dick?
though, considering how it was dropping earlier.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
That other one we did was the F minor to C, and that was the one I think that surprised me the most.
Yeah, big time.
Feeling away around it.
I knew the general vicinity because I did kind of figure it out earlier, but burning it in.
Yeah. The other thing is sometimes
Until
I'll
I
feel
burn it in.
I'll feel what note it feels like it should be, and I'll be like convinced that it's that note, and it turns out that note is actually the 3 or the 5 of the chord that it should be. So like
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's the G, it's for sure the G, but then it turns out, oh no, it's the C, and it just happens to be the G sounds right because it's the 5, or
Yeah, and
it's the, the E.
sometimes what you're playing on the bass side, like I'm assuming I'm hitting the root, and in this case, it's not hitting the root.
that A major, yeah.
Yeah, well here the chord is the F. It is an F, but I'm hitting on the B flat.
That's it. That's the B flat minor, because that F is the 5 in that case.
The F is at the top,
Yep. Well, that's again the F is the B flat minor is what you're playing there.
but it plays nice into the A. Like
Oh
this.
yeah.
Just feels fantastic together.
Even if you break the chord up and you're like.
I mean, I could just play with those two. used to that from, not where I would have expected to be. Although they do complement each other.
Yep. And again, sometimes it's not even in that home key. It's just something where you modulate to it and it sounds right, and it could sound right just because it shares notes with some of the chords that are correct, and the ones that aren't shared.
Kind of drop down feel.
Yeah. Like that other one we did, where we were doing the E, F, and the BC.
I am going to get this walk back up. So I have to get back to that sound from. This will be an interesting challenge.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we're actually in the key of B flat minor, because the B flat minor and the F minor and the G minor all sound right, which is weird. Could also be that B flat just doesn't belong in there, and it's just throwing off my perception of what key we should be in. Hard to say.
Well, between this is chord wise. I see my F on my pinky. I'm guessing these are flats, right? D flat and B flat.
Yeah,
D flat, D flat.
they are, and that F is the 5 in this case. So like the F is the 5, the D flat is the 3.
Oh,
and
so it's a B flat.
It's a B flat minor, is what that is. And you're playing it in an inversion if you put the F on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because if you put the F on the bottom, you see how the B flat is so far away, right? And that's how you know that it's not a normal F.
But it fits
chord.
so beautifully coming off the F, because
Oh,
we're
yeah.
using the F like theme here, and then going to. They interconnect.
Playing in the inversions can make it different too.
Yeah, see, you can bounce back. bounce back and forth on there. It's like a dark Billy Joel song.
There you
Like
go.
imagine if Billy Joel like went dark.
And then you add a little bit of.
It doesn't have the same impact with drums.
Your head's a little bit too happy.
Yeah,
A little too happy
I
on the
want to
rhythm.
hear some like low end toms kind of going during that part, so it would be happy. Hearing Beastie Boys.
This is definitely 80s over here. Pop fusion. I gotta hear what it's gonna try to do with the chords with this.
Oh, get into the rhythm of the night. Fuck, that's gonna be hard. Let's do this. Oh,
Now that's also at 120, so we could bring that down some to make that a little easier.
well, this kind of part here.
Yeah, yeah. Hell yeah. That's the way to get a nice feel that moves around like that. Yeah.
Oh, this is a fucking tough one. Oh, those two chords work great together.
E flat minor.
Really I gotta get used to those two chords going
Mhm.
back and forth like that with different kinds of progressions like that. That's a good sound. Yeah.
Trumpet. That's an F minor pentatonic.
Yeah, there's some weird notes in this particular scale at the moment. That E needs that little flattening right there. Yeah, it's just enough creepiness. Oh, this little fucking C. I guess it's either a C sharp or it's a E flat, but because this is an A major chord that I'm playing, but this little bridge here works much better than the D. The D feels totally out of place.
That's the thing, is once you're in that A major, you are dealing with so we are actually playing A major, but by sharpening, these are actually sharps now. So that's a C sharp, and we're actually trying to use a D sharp, which is actually a sharp 11, which is nice. I like that. Sharp 4 or sharp 11. So that would technically put us in A Lydian.
Yeah, we're definitely modal shifting.
Which means we're related to E major. So if you think about what notes you would normally use in E major, 4 sharps. That's why it feels weird with that, because we're B flat and then we're using sharps.
See, now that C sharp is like the little glimmer of hope. Earlier, it was the part that made it melodic, and as a resolution, that little C sharp becomes the part that's hopeful.
Focus part, yeah.
That's very detective-ish. I feel like that's a '60s detective
Naturally.
I could do it.
Very good. What else we got here? We got the clav.
The whole new insight into A major there for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I have never attacked A major from that direction.
And that's actually a different direction than usual because normally
Dude, that's the most unusual.
we would use that regular D. Would you be your A major with a C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp?
That's the most unusual approach to come in on an opening chord that I think I've ever taken.
I like it.
I mean,
It's
it
that nice
almost
little
sounds like
slight
an
drop.
outro approach, but as an intro approach, it kind of shoves you into the A major.
And now with that A major, does the G feel like a minor below it? If you kept going down, G would feel minor, right?
Yes.
Or would that G feel like that? The D and that G, should that also be flat? Because that would be half diminished, then G half diminished.
No, the G feels major, I think.
I'm hearing that half diminished G, which would actually mean we're in the key of A major at that point.
Does that drop down?
That also works. Yeah.
Because that would be minor, right?
Yeah, the thing was whether that D feels right or whether that D needs to also be flatted. It all sounds pretty cool.
I'm not sure the G is the right note to go to from the A. If you were to go down,
The G sharp.
yeah, that.
The seventh note in the A major scale should be that G sharp.
Yes, this is a G sharp, I guess.
Probably G sharp minor.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a walk down right there.
I would not have seen that coming. Because it's like a B flat to an A flat, and you're like, wait, or a B flat to an A flat, or a B flat to an A to a G sharp. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, flute, something like that would work good against that kind of progression. It's very it's not happy and it's not sad. It's just weird middle between emotions there.
It seems almost quizzical, like it's asking a question almost on that second one.
Yeah, that's just thirds. If I just play the thirds and I don't play any bass notes,
Yeah, yeah.
I think actually if I start with the right, yeah, if on the bass hand, if I do a C sharp, and works good in that. On the bass side, I hit rather than going the B flat to the A on the bass side,
You go up to the D flat.
Yeah, the D flat.
Yeah.
Sounds actually nicer on the
I
bass
do like
side.
that. Yeah. It's a good bounce. Nice.
It's another very different one for me. And I like that it's kind of emotionally neutral. Like you don't have to write a sad song or a happy song. It can be an inquisitive one.
Now, how about the key of E flat major? It's got 3 flats in it.
Oh man, no. I don't know if I could do anything useful in this key right now.
Well, the main thing is that the
other than be fascinated at how complex it feels.
if you start looking at the major chord, right?
This makes me want to hit the transpose button.
Exactly. The E flat, G, and B flat for that major chord. And that way you got the black notes on the outside and the white note in the middle. So that does make it a weird shape. But that's why I'll hit it with the middle finger on the G, and I'll use my index and my ring for the E flat and the B flat. So like my pinky and my thumb are not involved at all. But that's because I have big hands, so I don't know if that works for everybody else. But yep, that's the major triad, and you can do it. I also do 1, 2, 3 sometimes, the thumb and then the index in the middle.
This is how I have to feel out a weird ass scale like this. Okay,
Yeah.
so if I was gonna do a drop down on this, like in the
Yep, just the B flat, A flat, and E flat. Yep.
Yes, it's E flat. E flat. Why would you flatten E?
What kind of an asshole?
I can't do anything else with my right hand right now because I'm scared.
You can also just do little chirps with the right hand if you want.
Anything I'm gonna play, because I don't know where to go.
For that, I would say that we should figure out the 4 chord and the 5 chord, right? Or actually, even just going through all the diatonic chords is important too. So like E and B flat is the one.
Again, I did that walk down to relate it to C major.
Yeah, exactly.
If I was in C major. which ones are black or white.
Yep. Now the other thing though is if we start with that E flat, just looking at the triads now, E flat major, we got the E flat, G, and B, right? Just those three. Now, but if we go up to the two chord would be F, A flat, and C. So F minor. Not that you necessarily play from the 1 to the 2, but just as far as getting comfortable with all the notes that are in this particular scale.
God, this is such a crazy. Looking at the keyboard, trying to grasp E flat. Major, you said?
Yep. And the main thing is, again, like just looking at if you're going to try to hit an A or a B or an E, it needs to be flat, but any other key is going to be normal. So like starting there and then walking down is going to be D, F, A flat. I think that A needs to be flat. Yeah. D, F, A flat.
Slide down like that. So if I was to do that here.
C is going to be C minor. With the E flat.
Oh my God, this is fucking.
Messing you all up now.
Play in this scale?
Well, the other thing is going down in a walk down, like not necessarily trying to do it musically, but even just looking at the actual chords. Like here's chord 1, right? And then chord 2 is going to be chord 3.
It does sound nice in this key. The opening, I like the sound of the opening chord.
It's just a matter of getting comfortable with those. So rather than trying to put it into a song right away, just try to hit the chords themselves. A flat. C minor has that E flat in it.
Oh, I'm gonna have to cry uncle on E flat. Uncle Dick, come kick E flat's ass. I will practice it.
We have homework for Tony.
I will dominate.
And for next time, what we want to hear, like even going up, like let's say like going up with E flat.
Well, I want to be able to do this in that. If I can do that in that scale, then I will understand that scale.
And now if we want to do that in the E flat key, though, you want to do it.
Let's see that. Okay, you do That's impressive, though, man. You are a fucking mutant.
And I never play any either. I mean, I usually don't play keyboard either. So that's one of those things where it's just getting a feel for what seems like it should work and trying to notice The main thing is, again, trying to reduce the information as much as possible. So rather than trying to focus on, oh my God, what's the next note and all that, all I have to focus on is in the key of E, I only have to worry about B flat, E flat, and A flat. So as long as I only have to worry about those three, any chord I'm hitting, if it doesn't have an E or a B or an A in it, I'm not worried about it at all. It's all white notes. But
See,
if I do have E's, B's, or A's.
how your brain processes and simplifies it into that is part of the amazing.
And that's the thing is by doing that, those are like little shortcuts that might help some folks, and other people be like, that's crazy, I can't think about that. But to the people who that might actually help think about it, that's that's where I like to talk about it, just because it could help somebody.
I've been understanding your shortcuts more and more,
exactly.
especially with the theory stuff. The circle of fifths last week really epiphany moment.
And that's another one with, again, the three flats. We know that it's B flat, E flat, and A flat because they follow that same pattern that we talked about. Right? B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Moving in that same pattern all the time. Same thing with the sharps going the other way, but going with the F sharp, C sharp, D sharp.
You were doing that major there, right? This is my.
The
This is almost like a trick on timing.
Yep.
Talkin Shhh I.T.
It's so pretty with her voice behind. You make everything sound pretty.
Coming to me.
You heard that though, right? I want to hear some bagpipes now.
Tony and Glenn. One more.
Our soul looking.
Now it's time for Talking Shhh I.T.
Followed by.
You see them on YouTube and Twitch. If you look round and know now that more's to come. So makes coming up soon with electronic I hope that you learn a lot from Tony and Glenn. You know it's time IT's got an end. But you know you can check us out every Thursday night at 9 when Tony and Glenn come and fill your mind.
Glenn went choral on us.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out on a Thursday.
Jam.
Anytime. Always a pleasure. And we'll see Soul Make in a few minutes.
Bring on the mask.
That's right. The mask. The feared mask. Wonder if the lights are gonna change, or if it's the same.
Actually, I need to snag him his mustache too.
Put the mustache on the outside of the mask,
Well,
definitely.
he's one of the heads I'm missing right now.
Got to have the mustache
For
on
my
the outside of the mask.
collection.
His heads collection.
I have
Good
a
night, everybody.
collection of some of our heads.